Hello everyone and welcome to our informative session on completing your year-end payroll finalisation in Xero. My name is Lauren Lambden and I'm one of the accountants here at VI Partners. I have nearly 12 years of experience with Xero and I've been with VI Partners for just over 10 years. Today, I'll guide you through a detailed step-by-step process on how to complete the year-end finalisation of payroll in Xero. This was previously known as completing your payment summaries or group certificates, and this process is essential for finalising all year-end payroll for your employees. Once this is done, it will allow your employees to complete their individual tax returns and will enable your business to close off the payroll for the financial year. Please note that today's webinar is exclusively for Xero clients who are enrolled in Single Touch Payroll. If you have any questions or need further assistance with completing your year-end STP finalisation, please do reach out to our office. Our team is ready and will be happy to assist you. So let's dive straight in. In today's session, we will cover several key topics. First of all, we'll talk about the due date you need to be aware of. Next, we'll walk you through how to check your payroll settings. Then we'll cover how to reconcile your payroll accounts in Xero to ensure there are no mistakes in the STP data that you're about to finalise. After that, we will explain how to finalise your STP data in Xero. We'll also go over briefly how to process any necessary adjustments. And finally, we'll conclude with some important payroll items you should consider and any payroll related updates you need to be aware of for the 2024 financial year. The due date for submitting your finalised STP end of year payroll data to the ATO is July 14th, 2024. You do not need to provide any physical documentation to your employees, as this is all available to them through their personal MyGov accounts. The first step is just a little bit of housekeeping and is all around checking your settings in Xero. The settings that you should take the opportunity to check before you move on any further is your organisation settings. In the organisation settings, you want to check your legal trading name, the ABN, and the postal address, ensuring that they are all correct. This information is found in your general settings. You should also review your payroll settings. These can be found in the advanced settings of your Xero file. You should review the earnings tab to ensure your earnings pay items are correctly assigned. Check your leave tab to ensure each leave item has a leave category assigned, and check the deductions tab to ensure the deductions are reported correctly. Once the pay items have been reviewed, you can move on to checking your employees. Best practice here is run the employee contact details report to check each employee entry for accuracy, focusing on things like date of birth and postcode. Check that each employee has an employment type, an income type, and a tax scale set up in their employee record. Once that's all done, that completes the back-end housekeeping of reviewing your settings, and you're now able to move on to step 2. Step 2 is reconciling your payroll transactions. So now that we've reviewed the key details in our organisations, we can reconcile the payroll transactions. This is a really important step as it gives us a chance to identify any discrepancies within our payroll that could cause an employee to receive an incorrect end-of-year income statement. This will prevent any amendments needing to be created in the future and ensure you're submitting accurate data once and once only. The first thing we need to do is check that all pay runs for the financial year have been posted and have a payment date within the financial year. So STP finalisation is based on payment date. It's important to remember that if you have submitted a pay run, for example, 30th of June 2023, and you want this included in your 23-24 financial year, then that payment date cannot be 1st of July 2024 or later. Once you have checked that all pay runs have been processed and the correct payment date applies, you need to confirm that all your pay runs have been filed with the ATO for STP. So in the pay run history of all your pay runs, you'll see a STP filed status sitting next to each pay run. You want all the status icons to be green filed icons, none failed or overdue or pending. Now you should also confirm that all the wages have been paid through the business bank account and that all pay-related transactions such as wages, pay-as-you-go withholding, and superannuation have been reconciled. So that's anything that has been paid out of your bank account sitting in that reconciliation screen on your dashboard. If you still have items to reconcile in your bank rec screen, please do complete this before moving on to any of the further steps. We can now start extracting the reports that we're going to use to reconcile our payroll accounts. Today, we'll be running the payroll activity summary report and the trial balance report to reconcile our data. You can see from our table on the screen that items from our payroll activity summary report should match certain accounts on our trial balance report. So our total earnings should match total wages and salaries. Our total super should match total superannuation on our trial balance, and our total tax should match our total pay-as-you-go withholding payable on our trial balance report. When you are checking this final tax against the pay-as-you-go withholding account, you need to drill down a little bit further into the account than the other two. So when you have your trial balance on your screen, you'll click on the pay-as-you-go withholding balance in the credit column, and that will bring up the total transactions that have been allocated to this account for the financial year. What you should be looking for here is the debit amounts down the bottom of the transactions and matching those. The reason that the net balance in the previous screen isn't what we need to look at here is because this account is a live account that keeps track of your pay-as-you-go withholding liabilities, and it debits the payments made to the OTO when you pay your BAS and IAS. So now that all your balances match, those three, earnings, wages, super, tax, pay-as-you-go withholding, we can move on to the next step. If there are balances that do not match, you will need to check your pay run history to find the pay run with the error and process an adjustment. To process an adjustment, we do recommend processing an unscheduled pay run to correct the issue. Once the adjustments have been made, you then need to refile the pay run to the ATO. So some common reasons why your balances may differ and adjustment might be required could be for a few reasons. You paid your employee a different amount to what is in the pay run. You have deductions or reimbursements that have been set up to the wrong account, or you have allocated the wages and super payments made to your employees to the wrong account when you completed your bank rec. They're the three really common issues that we see when we're reconciling our payroll data. So just to recap again, if you find an error, you need to process an unscheduled pay run and file that unscheduled pay run to the ATO. Okay, let's move on to the main step, processing the STP finalisation. First off, what I like to do is PDF or print the payroll employee summary for the financial year. So you can find this report in your report section and you can download that and keep it aside as we will pick it up later to reference it. So that's again the payroll employee summary report for the full financial year. So from the dashboard, you'll click Single Touch Payroll. Next, you'll see you can click into Go to Finalisation. Here lists all the employees that you've paid for the year. At the top, you'll make sure that your tax year is 2023 to 2024. From here, you can click the View Report button. This brings up a year-to-date summary for all your employees in a total. It's a good opportunity now to export this to PDF. You can do that down the bottom. If you go back up to the top, you can now change this report to not view for all employees, but one by one. I recommend clicking into each employee, looking at the total earnings and tax, and comparing that to the payroll employee summary report I referenced earlier. Do this for each employee and export each employee to PDF. Once you've done that, you're able to jump back out of this screen. Tick on all the employees that you want to finalize for STP. And down the bottom, click Submit Finalization. If you have any terminated employees for our FBA, you can toggle on the icon in the left-hand bottom corner. Submit Finalization brings you to this screen. It includes all your employees. You simply tick the declaration and hit Submit to ATO. Once done, you're able to see the status of the finalization in your overview screen of Single Touch Payroll. It will just sit here in the filing history. So that's that live demo. Really simple, really easy. It's just a matter of exporting some reports for each employee to PDF, checking that they match the payroll employee summary for accuracy, and completing that declaration at the end. So congratulations, you've now finalised your STP data for the financial year 2024 to the ATO. Before we reflect on today's webinar, I did want to quickly touch on some important payroll items to remember. So first of all, paying superannuation for employees by the due date each quarter is super important at the moment. Since the ATO introduced STP, they are more focused on ever in their data matching with super funds, and we've seen a lot of audit activity for late super or unpaid super. So super is due quarterly by the 28th of the following month of the quarter end. And as soon as this is paid late, even by a day or two, you are required by law to prepare and submit a super guarantee charge statement. On that super guarantee charge statement, you have to pay interest and administration penalties. So really important to ensure that you're paying your super in full on time for all employees. Important to remember that from 1 July 2024, the super contribution rate has increased to 11.5%. Xero will have automatically made this update for you, but it is important just to be aware and just double check. As of 1 July 2024, Fair Work did increase the minimum wage, which may impact the award that your employee is paid under. Again, the data matching that the ATO has since the introduction of STP is really, really clever. They're talking to Fair Work and they're making sure that your employees are paid the correct wage, overtime, allowances based on the awards set out by Fair Work. So if in doubt, please reach out to Fair Work for clarification. This is a really difficult space to navigate, and you want to make sure that your employees are getting paid accurately for everything that they're entitled to based on their award. Filing your STP after each pay event, something really important to continue to remember to do. We also wanted to touch on, now that it's the perfect time to submit your work cover rateable remuneration figures and complete your estimate for the next financial year. So at the end of every year, you need to let your WorkSafe agent know what your actual annual rateable remuneration was. This is what helps calculate your work cover premium. So you need to include your wages, superannuation, and any rateable contractors in that submission to WorkSafe or your other work cover agent. And finally, if you are registered for payroll tax, you can now complete the end of year reconciliation submission. So let's reflect back on today's webinar. You've now completed your STP finalisation in Xero if you followed along with the steps. This is due by the 14th of July with the ATO. We encourage you to do this as early as possible. You will need to have reconciled your Xero file up until the end of the financial year to ensure that any wages and super payments are allocated accordingly, and you will not have accurate reports to use if your reconciliation hasn't been completed or brought up to date. We covered common adjustments and errors that you may see. If you don't correct these issues, it will mean amended STP finalisation needs to be lodged in the future, which makes it difficult for employees who like to prepare and lodge their tax returns early in the financial year. And finally, just then we took you through some important payroll items to remember at this time of year, as it is a really complicated, continually changing space with high amount of risk and increased audit activity in the past 2 years. So thank you for participating in today's webinar. We hope this has made your STP finalisation process easy and straightforward and given you some helpful things to remember in regards to payroll come end of financial year. If you do require assistance with completing this, please do reach out to our team. We will be happy to help. And thank you again. We look forward to working with you in the new financial year.